Hey there folks, my name is Peter, and on today's video we are going to tackle 5 super simple home maintenance projects to get our house ready for summer. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with the simplest task first. For me, that is cleaning the filter out of my dehumidifier. First, as you can see, this thing was filled with water, so let's get it emptied out, and then we're going to remove the filter. These machines work by taking air in, removing the water molecules from them, and then recirculating that same air. But if you have dust in your air, the filter can get clogged and it can make it harder for the machine to keep up. All you're gonna wanna do, take the filter out. You can either run water over it, clean it with your hand. I'm gonna try to use a vacuum, get it clean, reinstall it, and we're done with our first task. All right, so task number 2 on our home maintenance checklist for today is we are going to get our water softener up to snuff. That basically involves doing 3 things. 1, we are going to use really anything that you have. In my case, I have a golf club. And what I'm going to do is try to break up any bridging that is happening inside of the water softener. All right, so bridging is if you have a lot of moisture in the air, the pellets can sort of start to stick together and then they won't be as effective. So we're really just going to stick this down there and just break up these bridges. Now in my case, I try to do this every so often, so I don't have a lot of these. Depending on how often you do it, you may have more than not. If you have a lot of it, you probably want a dehumidifier, right? I try to keep the moisture out of this room as much as possible, but it could still happen. So we'll break up the bridging, that's 1. 2, we're gonna add new salt pellets to the machine, and then 3, we're actually gonna put it through an iron out cycle, which I'll explain here in a minute. Now finally, I'm going to do a cycle with iron out. This stuff's available on Amazon. I'll have a link in the description below. But effectively what we're going to do is we're going to mix a cup of this with a couple quarts of water. We're going to stir it up, and then we're going to pour it directly into our brine well in the water softener. We're going to initiate a cycle immediately thereafter and let it run, and this is going to help remove any sort of buildup that has been occurring inside the machine since the last time we did this. I try and do an iron out cycle once every 6 months or so. Truthfully, I don't know if you're supposed to do it more than that, but I don't think it can hurt. So we'll do this, and then we'll move on to number 3. Once you've got your solution poured into your brine well, just hit recharge twice, and there it goes. All right, so while the recharge is running, which you could probably hear a little bit behind me, and that's no big deal, we're just gonna let that run, and then we should be good to go. We are gonna install a new HVAC filter. The filter that you need is probably going to be different from mine. It could be the same. I use a 16 by 25 by 4. This is a MERV 8, which is to say I think 13 is the highest or something like that, or I think once you go over 13, it's like not for residential. You know, 2 of these filters cost me $45 at Home Depot. I think that's a little expensive, but if I went to like a MERV 10 or an FPR 10, it was like $45 just for 1. So this is more than okay for me. I think, you know, the rate at which you're meant to switch these out depends on the thickness. I think for 4 inches, they say 6 to 9 months. I last did this in October, so we're gonna do it today to get us through the summer, and then we'll do it again in the fall. And that's really the theme of all these projects, right? It's not that they're summer specific per se, but if I do it once in the fall and once in the spring, I'm good all summer and I'm good all winter. To enjoy myself. So this is actually a much harder installation than I would like for it to be. I will take you all with me, but I have to go get a ladder because I have to climb into what is effectively a crawl space to swap this out, and it's dark and I don't like it. But I'm going to try my best. Only once every 6 months. Okay, so like I said, this is my least favorite, one of my least favorite things to do. I've got my filter, and now I have to crawl all the way back to where the filter gets installed. And of course the light that you're seeing is my flashlight. If I turn that off, much darker. So, not ideal. I'm gonna crawl over, and then once I am set up, I will show you how to install the new filter. All right, we have made it to the HVAC system. So the first thing I want you all to notice when I do this, right, there's this word, it says airflow. It's got an arrow pointing that way. On our filter, it has the same arrow. It says airflow pointing that way. So when we install this filter, we're gonna go straight in. Now, on mine, there's no tools necessary. Yours may be different, I don't know. All I have to do is unscrew this to reveal the old filter. Now, getting this out is a little tough. It is a little tight in there, so I'm gonna set you all off to the side. I'm gonna get that swapped out, and then we will crawl back out of this hellhole and onto better product. I can't even talk. Onto better projects. So they come out a little harder than they go in. You can see I really have to sort of maneuver it out of there. But this one, I don't know how well it comes through, but you know, pretty dark. And then compared to the new one, which is white and clear. You can sort of see the difference there. So we'll throw it in and get out of here. Just push it in, make sure your arrows are lined up, and we're good for another 6 to 9 months. All right, so for our fourth project of the day, we are going to clean out our dryer exhaust vent, which you can hopefully see right there. The tool that I'm using, this is just any old drill that you have laying around. And then this, right, it has the brush on the end, and then when you buy the kit, it comes with all these extension pieces. Now, I don't have a very long run, so this should be more than enough for me, but I've got a ton of extra pieces there for when I do other people's houses, spring going into summer, and then fall going into winter. Now, there's other ways you could do this. You could disconnect it from the inside and use like a blower to blow it all out. I find this to be easy enough, so I like to do it this way. What I'll do is I'll get this back and forth a couple times, and then I'll go inside and actually turn the dryer on just to get any last stuff out of there. You could cover that up, and then as the stuff is blowing out, you're collecting it, and then you can throw it away. I've never taken that measure. Perhaps I should, but instead we're just going to let it blow onto the deck, and then we'll blow the deck off. So let's give it a shot. Now, again, I do this a lot, so I'm not going to have as much stuff as you might have if you're not doing it that often. All right, so now I'm just going to turn the dryer on to just blow any last stuff that's in there because I, loosened it up and now it's ready to go. All right, so we're on our fifth and final maintenance project for the day, and that is getting our air conditioning unit ready for summer. First things first, disconnect the power. I've also got the breaker turned off, but I did pull this at the unit as well. So we'll just set that aside, and then we'll plug it back in when everything's ready. Basically, the order of operations here, get this uncovered. Depending on how dirty it is, I will vacuum the inside. Now, I do this often, so mine might not be dirty enough, or I need to actually take off the grate and vacuum, but we'll see. Once it's vacuumed, we're gonna rinse it down. I don't actually have a hose that will reach this far from the house to the unit, so I've got a bucket of water and then my Ryobi pressure washer. It's not really a pressure washer. I think it goes up to 600 PSI, but I'm gonna use it on the low setting with the rinse nozzle, so it should be like 200 PSI, and I'm gonna spray it from a distance. So the goal is just to spray down the coils, or the fins rather, and you don't want to bend them. That's why you don't want to use a pressure washer. And our goal in doing all of this is to allow this machine to be as efficient as possible as it's producing cold air for us. So let's get it uncovered, see how dirty it is, and go from there. The unit isn't that dirty, but I have the equipment here and it's dirty enough where just get down in there, get those leaves and whatnot, and just make sure it's as clean as it can possibly be. So we got it vacuumed, we got it rinsed. Let's reassemble. Once we're reassembled, like I said, I'll run a test on the Nest thermostat, make sure everything's good to go. But all in all, I thought this was a pretty good day. These are 5 home maintenance tasks you could do yourself to get your house ready for summer. Hopefully you liked it. Like, comment, subscribe if you did, and I'll see you in the next video.